Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Weird World Podcast. Today we have a weird news.
Wait, who are you?
Oh, I'm Dean.
I'm Carrie.
For a second, I thought you really didn't know who I was. I think I worried. So I'm Dean. That's Carrie. We just said that. Now I'm worried about myself. We're going to do a weird news today that is all about politics, mostly political news. One of the stories that I have is just sort of a kind of a weird thing about politics, but mostly it's pretty recent news of some more lighthearted political news than is usually the fare. I hope. Well, maybe I'm getting a no from Carrie. Yours is not so lighthearted?
Well, I don't think it's lighthearted.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. I'll start off. How about that, though?
Go for it.
I'll start off with one of my favorite recent political stories, and that's, of course, Sandwich Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Sandwich Guy was the guy who, in Washington, D.C., his name was Sean Dunn, who came out, saw a bunch of ICE agents rousting a bar in D.C. that he frequented, and he thought it was harassment and obnoxious, so he got really pissed off. So I think he had a few choice words for them, and then just in a fit of anger, he threw the sandwich that he had just bought at Subway at one of the, by the way, heavily armored ICE agents and masked as and armed as they always are at that ICE agent, and then he ran off. They got him and they arrested him. And you think that'd be it?
Yeah.
You think, okay, I mean, obviously no harm, no foul. He threw a sandwich, I believe a salami sandwich. I can't remember. It's in here somewhere. So, you think that's be it. No. That's not nearly good enough for the Trump administration, who've been trying for months now to gin up how ICE agents are under attack and, things like that. And they usually go back to see the video. No, that the person didn't use their car as a weapon. The ICE agent used their car as a weapon against the person, or a weapon as a weapon. So they had to prosecute him. And you figure, what are they going to press this guy for throwing a sandwich? And they could have done maybe something like, some kind of a misdemeanor or something light, and just maybe get a slap on the wrist and get a win. But no. I don't know if President Trump demanded, put this guy in jail. But his U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C. is none other than Jeanine Pirro.
Of course.
Whose qualifications is being a legal talking head on Fox News.
Yeah.
And that's really all her qualifications. I think she used to be in New York something, but
yeah, I'm sure she
hasn't
was.
done anything legal
also,
in literally many years. She's clearly not
she
qualified.
like 1,000 years old?
She's, I think she's almost 1,000 years old. Right? It's like 998 years old, I believe. I think so. I didn't look it up, but that sounds about right to me. Jeanine Pirro is forced to throw the book at this 37-year-old, by the way, Air Force veteran who served war tours in D.C., and she said he was on trial not for protesting. That's key. We have this thing called First Amendment for now. And she said, no, he's not being tried for protesting. He's being tried for, quote, throwing a sandwich at a federal officer at point blank range, unquote. My favorite quote in the history of U.S. attorneys' quotes.
As opposed to from sniper range? I mean,
like if you say at point blank range for anything,
yeah.
It makes it, okay. I didn't realize it was at point blank. That feather was a dangerous weapon at point blank range.
She's 74, by the way.
Okay.
A little old to be starting
Not the 998.
A new job.
Yes, for sure. But especially, again, I think it's been probably 2 decades since he's been a prosecutor or something like that. Prosecutors sought to indict him on a felony assault count, but the grand jury said, no, that's absurd. Remember grand juries, people forget this. It's embarrassing if you can't get a grand jury to indict someone.
Yeah.
Grand juries, the prosecution goes in there, only the prosecution is heard, and they say, here's the evidence we have for this crime being committed that we want to charge them for. Will you, produce the indictment? It's super one-sided. They couldn't get that grand jury to do that. The grand jury said, no, we're only going to indict him for a misdemeanor. I'm shocked they did that, but they did. So they agreed to indict him for a misdemeanor. So he was being tried on a misdemeanor, not the felony that Jeanine Pirro wanted to. They made their case to the U.S. District Court. The jury surprisingly deliberated for 7 hours, and they came back. And what did Sean Dunn get from that jury, Carrie? Do you know?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. So grand juries, I didn't know this, have declined to indict several other people the Trump administration has brought this year for federal offense in Washington, D.C. I was very surprised. Again, you went to that jury, to that room, with not nearly enough to indict if you can't get the grand jury to do an indictment. It's usually considered a slam dunk.
Yeah.
So
What's the famous saying?
what?
You could get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich.
In this case, they did, but on lesser charges. For instance, the Trump administration tried to indict a D.C. woman for just protesting immigration arrest by being rowdy about it at the doors of a city jail, and they wouldn't let them do that. But anyway, the prosecution did. They called 2 witnesses. The defense called no witnesses. They knew. I mean,
Wow,
it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
They called the Customs and Border Protection agent who was on the receiving end of that deadly sandwich. And they called a Metro police officer, a DC police officer, who saw the incident unfold. And they played the video. They had video of it. And he's out there. He's like getting pissed off. And then apparently he's like bobbing up and down and yelling at him or something like that. And he just, throws it at the group, hits a guy, drops to the ground, and he just takes off. And they take off after him, and they catch him. And it's a quick chase. They catch him very quickly, and then they hear him on tape. He said, "I did it. I threw a sandwich. I did it to draw them away from where they were. I succeeded."
That was his plan all along.
That was his plan. He got them to run after him, I guess.
Yeah.
So the prosecution said the salami sub had, quote, exploded on that officer's uniform.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're clearly trying to use some sort of loaded, like point blank range. Exploded. The agent, his name is Gregory Larimore. By the way, they need to do this more often because it's the only way you can find out people who are in ICE.
Yeah.
So it's Gregory Larimore, Lairmore. He testified that he's just trying to ignore this guy, but and then all of a sudden he felt the sandwich hit him through his bulletproof vest designed to stop assault rifle fire. And he says the sandwich kind of exploded all over my uniform. It smelled of onions and mustard. Now, when I read the mustard part,
you started to have a little more sympathy for him?
A lot more sympathy, actually. If you got mustard on my police-like uniform that they seem to wear, you notice ICE people have whatever uniform they picked up at Walmart, apparently. And he goes, quote, "I had mustard and condiments on my uniform and an onion hanging from my radio antenna that night." So
that night.
My God.
Yeah.
That must have
couldn't get it off.
No way, man. And so the defense says, you really felt threatened because they need him to have felt threatened. Like he could have suffered bodily harm. And so they noted what happens that the other officers, the ICE officers, they had given him a plush toy sandwich as a gag gift. He put that up and displayed it on his office shelf, and they put an insignia on his lunchbox that showed Dunn, the person, hoisting a hoagie above the words "felony footlong." They were joking about it. They were laughing about it. In no way, obviously, did he feel in any way threatened or not. It was an egregious prosecution attempt. But again, they'd have to find out that he acted forcibly and generated, quote, "a reasonable apprehension of immediate bodily harm." So it's just that's the law. It clearly did not fit that under the law, especially when they pointed out that Larimore was armed. He was in a large group of other armed people. He had a vest on. I mean, so that was pretty easy. I'm surprised it took them 7 hours.
Maybe they needed to stay long enough to get their free lunch. They're free. I hope they gave the jury Subway sandwiches.
Maybe. And so Don has been going, this is just took place, and Don has been going on some talk shows, and he's talked about it a little bit. And so they're not done. The Department of Homeland Security spokesperson, Tricia McLaughlin, just, I think this weekend on Fox News, she's gone off, and they're really trying to milk it still for this is so dangerous to be an ICE agent. There's so many attacks on these ICE agents, which is just not true. Remember, there's that one shooting, which I'm not a conspiracy theorist, where it's supposedly
the one in Dallas or whatever?
The one in Texas, where I'm pretty sure that was not where they shot only
detainees,
immigrant detainees, and not one single ICE agent there. Highly suspicious. I don't believe they were shooting at ICE agents. I think they were shooting detainees. And so he, that again, I don't know. I don't know enough about that case though. But McLaughlin said, quote, "What message does that send when you can just throw sandwiches at CBP officials?" End quote. She called Dunn an embarrassment, and accused him of, quote, grandstanding, which is he's not. He's been, he said, I'm glad people can do memes about this stuff, but he's not, going out and seeking a lot. He did a few talk shows. They've been clearly clamoring after him. But she said, the spokesperson said, the American people have a right to safety and security. It's exactly what the federal officials in Washington, D.C., what our ICE law enforcement, CBP officers are bringing to American streets every single day. And this is as they're facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them, end quote.
Not a
They've
thing.
made up numbers.
Yeah.
It is a thing, but it's not true. They're counting anything. They're counting everything as a quote assault, including, again, not making it up, including things where they said, oh, yeah, that person assaulted with a car, and they have video, and it 100% did not happen.
Yeah.
They're routinely lying. People don't understand that, or I don't think we're appreciating that. ICE people are routinely lying about the circumstance, and they've been caught lying on videos numerous times, time after time. It's not a he said, she said. It's video that says, look, they said something. This video shows that they absolutely made up that something or exaggerated it greatly, but mostly just literally made it up, or even it's the opposite of the truth. So it's trying to use this pathetic case to further the equally pathetic case that ICE is and all of the danger is from ICE agents and not the other way around. I'm not saying there won't be, an ICE agent is eventually something bad is going to happen to them.
Yeah, because you look like a thug with a mask in an unmarked car pointing guns at people.
Yeah,
I'm
shocked.
surprised there haven't been more. Yes,
and in many cases they are kind of kidnappers. But I'm surprised. Just like, why would I believe you?
Yes,
you've got a mask on. A real police officer doesn't wear a mask in America.
You don't have a badge.
Nope.
You don't have any official insignia.
Yeah. Again, their uniforms are haphazard. We've seen every kind of uniform or quasi-uniform they've had.
They're wearing street clothes with vests on.
Yeah,
is all they're doing.
And fat guts because they all. I'm pretty sure you have to have a big gut to join ICE. I think it's a rule.
My favorite are the ones wearing skinny jeans.
They're at it. And this is just another despicable example of people putting dangerous rhetoric out there that puts our law enforcement in danger. Just absolute lies and just nonsense. Dangerous rhetoric. What rhetoric is she doesn't know what the word rhetoric means, obviously. No. But anyway, that's one of my favorite. I'll go with one more story about ICE, and then we'll have one from Carrie.
Okie dokies.
This is kind of about ICE, a little more about Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, Kristi cosplay Noem. She's the one who dresses up as whatever, a cowgirl, I think, and a jailer, an army person, and I'm sure she's dressed up as an astronaut. I don't know what she was for Halloween. She probably just put her normal clothes on because that's the only time she's not wearing a costume. And her wonderful, wonderful secret boyfriend, Corey Lewandowski, who is a former Trump official. Everyone knows they're dating, and they deny it. And he works. I think he works free of charge for the Homeland Security. He should not. He's not been vetted or anything like that whatsoever. He's just he's a ex-Trump aide who is her boyfriend, her mistress, her male mistress. I don't know how you say that. And so they concocted and this has been multiple sources have said this. They're denying it, but they went to Spirit Air, which is an airline that I believe is in bankruptcy. And Spirit Air was trying to get rid of some of their assets to pay off their creditors. And they said, okay, we'll buy 10 Boeing 737 jets from you, Spirit Airlines. Spirit said, okay, we've got 10 Boeing 737s to sell you. And Kristi Noem wanted them to do more flights of deportation flights and also for personal travel, which is what she's infamous for, is that she's jetting around on the public dime. They just bought 2 Lear jets for $200 million. I think they're Lears, but kind of luxury private jets for travel because it's safety. It's all about security.
Yeah, and they're also worried about waste, fraud, and abuse. Yeah, and
sure.
All about saving money.
So they bought these jets, and they then some officials, normal civil servant types at Homeland Security and ICE, because it was going to come out of the ICE budget. That's why ICE was involved. They looked at it. And they found out that Spirit did not actually own those jets they were going to sell ICE and to Kristi Noem.
Well, that sounds like Spirit was committing a crime.
It does. And maybe it was in the fine print, I don't know. But these 10 jets did not have a really critical part that jets should all have. What do you think that was?
Landing gear.
That would be a critical part, yes. No, Carrie, it's much worse. None of them had engines.
Oh, well.
She bought 10 engineless jets. It's like, whoa. the engines. Well, we can sell you 10 engines,
Yeah.
but that's a separate order. That'll cost more. So they literally we're going to sell 10 engineless jets to Kristi Noem
Yeah.
for her personal use and for deportations without, and that they did not actually own. So yes, Spirit Air is a slimy company.
Yeah.
They should go to jail for this too, as should Kristi Noem. And they only found out because lower level civil servants looked into the fine print
Yeah.
and started investigating and said this doesn't sound right, and found out the details.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's horrific. So that's some fun. Again, waste and abuse.
Yeah.
So Carrie's now going to tell us about some other news about the visa, as Donald Trump has recently opined about visas.
You want me to do that one first?
Yes.
Okie dokes. Okay, so we know what's like the thing that Trump is most obsessed with right now.
Immigration?
Kind of.
Not letting poor people eat?
Not letting fat people into the country.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
He obviously doesn't want brown people
Well, yeah,
coming into the country.
obviously.
So now the State Department has sent new guidance just as of a few days ago to the embassies and consulates to deny visas to people with obesity or other health issues. We already screen for like TB, and you have to have certain certain vaccines and
Okay.
stuff.
But not for illness or anything like that.
I don't think so.
Like even like
Because how can
yeah.
they?
Well, yeah. I mean, and sometimes you do. I mean, I know people come here for medical issues, but not, you know what I mean? Like to get cancer treatment or something like that. That's not uncommon to come to the United States for that.
But that would be a tourist visa, and
Yeah, it'd be different.
they're probably fine with that.
Yeah.
Medical tourism is great, right? It just brings
Well,
in money.
We were fine with that until, I'm sure, as long as they're white and
Yes.
from a country that Trump would be okay with that. But
And as long as they're not coming here to have a baby.
oh, good Lord, no.
I'm sorry. As long as they're not coming here to have an anchor baby.
Yep.
But so yeah, now the guidance says they must consider an applicant's health, certain medical conditions, including but not limited to cardiovascular disease, respiratory disease, cancers, diabetes, metabolic diseases, neurological diseases, and mental health conditions, because those could require hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of care. So they want to make sure if somebody has any of these risk factors, then you got to make sure that they are going to have enough money, that they have, the financial prospects once they get here to pay for long-term care, because they're worried that they care for their entire expected lifespan.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Without seeking public cash assistance or long-term institutionalization at government expense.
We do. We have you haven't heard of those? We have huge institutes that house sick Americans
Yes,
and take care forever,
yeah,
for the rest
for
of their
free,
life.
yeah.
For free. It's government sponsored.
Yeah.
It's government paid. That's
I've
the thing.
never heard of such a
Oh,
thing.
we don't have those?
With that
Assumed
public
we did.
cash assistance.
God, what an idiot.
Really?
These are things that don't exist. Part of me wants to say, oh, we know Trump is biased. He's selling visas for $5 million. He wants to sell visas to rich people or, crypto scammers. He wants to do that. But the other part of me just says, is Trump going, oh, and don't let any fat people in. I don't like it because he doesn't like overweight people, which is, a whole pot kettle black thing. But
Yeah.
he's infamous for that.
And this announcement came one day after they had their big dog and pony show where they announced that they're reducing the cost of Ozempic. They made the deal with whatever drug. Is it Novo Nordisk?
Nordisk, I think.
Where the poor guy
Yeah.
fainted,
Oh, that,
passed out
yes.
during the announcement.
Trump turns into robot mode, hands at his side, stands up, staring in his face, ignoring all the stuff going behind him where people are desperately trying to help this person. Dr. Oz is on it, and he's trying
Yeah.
to help that guy. But we have that might be the picture of the year, where Trump is literally standing at his
absolutely
desk
is.
looking. He could not look more blank. It's literally like he's an android and someone just turned him off.
I think, it looks like he's waiting for somebody to come direct him to where he's supposed to go next.
Wait, sit down.
Yeah.
Just sit down. He was between his desk and his chair.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It was very strange. But then Trump also took the time during that announcement to talk about who in the administration was actually taking Ozempic.
So he's going to out one of his aides.
Nice. And it
Classy.
is, there's not a more deserving asshole.
Well, there's a lot of them.
Yes, Stephen Chung.
Yes. Stephen Chung, his ex-spokesperson. He's not a spokesperson. He was a spokesperson at least in the interim. I don't know if he was a spokesperson during the administration, the first administration, when he was a
No,
spokesperson
I
during
don't think
the
he was.
interim,
Yeah.
during when Trump was campaigning and before that. And
Well, they call him a longtime comms staffer and a attack
he has
dog.
been.
So
he has
yeah,
been.
he's
no partisanship whatsoever. He's a monstrous,
he's
immature
terrible.
heart. I
Yeah.
mean, he's looked at it like says your mom to things. And
yeah.
just,
Back to Steve Chung.
Okay, sorry.
Trump's said, "Where's Steve? Is he here? Head of public relations for the White House? He's taking it."
I was going to say his title. Is this the where I think this is where Dr. Oz, he was speaking during that, and he said because of this, Americans are going to lose a bunch of weight, and he said,
Yes.
Americans, this is true. Americans by the midterms, so in about a year, Americans are going to lose 135. No, I'm sorry. What was it? 135 billion
yeah.
pounds. Cumulatively, 135 billion pounds. That would equal about 400 pounds per American. So
Yeah.
we're all going to be, if you weigh less than 400 pounds, you will no longer exist. If you don't, you better put on some weight.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you for that, Carrie.
You're welcome, Dean.
Okay, now we're going to go to another one. And again, in case you're thinking, oh, we're picking on Trump. No, we're saying what's in the news now. And as you know, we could have a Trump follies, verbal follies
Yes.
every single episode. We're not going to do that. So the next we're going to pick on is Doug Burgum, who is the Interior Secretary. And this is a good one because in these weird news we often have, because strange things going on, we often have a lot of animals. We're trying to do politics. We're trying to stay away because we have so many animal ones. Because it's so crazy, orcas attacking ships and, putting dead seals on their head like hats. That's weird. That deserves to be told. But we're trying not to do that. But this one does combine some animals with politics because the Interior Secretary, which, by the way, oversees the Environmental Protection Agency and endangered species. So that's why you definitely put Doug Burgum as a former governor of one of the Dakotas and just a oil and energy kind of guy. He has recently suggested that we're treating it as endangered species list with too much seriousness. There's too many animals on it. And here's the bad thing: you never take anything off. You just put them on. 97% of animals that were put on the endangered species list are still on there. That can't be right.
Gee.
That's terrible. Take some more off. This is crazy. He says we should celebrate removing species, not adding them. First of all, we don't celebrate putting them on.
Yeah.
That's not the right word.
No.
We do celebrate when they take it off because it means those populations have recovered. If they're not taken off, it means the populations haven't recovered because we have science. So,
Unless they're taken off the endangered species list because they're now extinct.
or that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says the endangered species list has become like the Hotel California. Once a species enters, they never leave. I'm sure.
Lord.
Like pause for laughter in his notes. I'm sure. Oh no, he said this on X, I believe, on a statement on X Twitter. In fact, 97% of species that are added to the endangerment list remain there. This is because the status quo is focused on regulation more than innovation. You might stop to think, what the fuck is he talking about? Innovation in terms of the endangered species. I'm not sure what that means. Well, he knows what he means. He has read, or maybe he listened to this podcast where we talked about the dire wolf and this group called Colosso in Texas that supposedly engineered a dire wolf.
Right.
And so he looked at that and he heard about that and he says this is this whole movement of de-extinction.
Oh.
And he says, well, wait a second. With the de-extinction technology, we can just clone these animals. We can kill them all. As long as we have some DNA, it doesn't matter. We can just clone them. Quote, the revival of the direwolf heralds the advent of a thrilling new era of scientific wonder, showcasing how the concept of de-extinction can serve as a bedrock for modern species conservation. Burgum, an idiot,
Wow.
said. Not only is that insane and ridiculous because you really think that someone you just wipe them all out, eventually we'll have so much room and resources, we'll just make all these animals again and we'll de-extinct them. It's horrific to think that because that would, of course, would never happen. You kill them off, you never make them again.
Also, isn't there zero proof that there's
It's not
actual
a
dire wolf?
It's not real.
I mean, Jesus.
They took gray wolves and they engineered them genetically to make something like what we think dire wolves
Right.
look like. Actually, more recent science has shown that dire wolves may not have actually been that closely related to gray wolves.
Yeah.
So it's not, you didn't de-extinct anything. They didn't make a dire wolf. They made a couple of puppies that look something like what we think a dire wolves are.
Yeah,
It's
but maybe
nothing like that.
if it's only endangered, we have the actual live ones
Yes.
that we can use.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure we could.
But I still don't
Yeah.
think that is the way it works.
Yeah. But no, you can't use cloning. There's all kinds of reasons why that would never work.
But also, you don't need to use cloning.
Yeah.
Don't we already have programs where we,
Yeah.
try to repopulate
Yes.
by
And there's all kinds of reasons why a clone population very likely would not work and would not be
stupid.
viable.
Yeah.
It's just a horrific idea. It's an excuse to kill an endangered species is all it is.
But it's also like,
And it's
let's spend
really
$1 billion to solve a problem that we could, spend $1 million
Or
on.
just, let them live. My next one is not really news, I guess, technically, now that I think about it, but it is interesting in its political party names. What are the major political parties that you're aware of, Carrie?
My favorite one is Peace and Freedom Party.
I don't know if they still exist.
Of course they do.
Oh, do they?
I
Okay.
mean, I
What are some
think,
of
I
the
don't
other,
know.
but that you're aware of, that you've heard of?
The Green Party.
Go on.
The what are they called? The Demo Rats.
The Democrat Party is
Oh,
what the Republicans
yeah.
call them. They're the Democratic Party. Go on.
Yes.
What else?
Refuglicans, I
Good Lord,
think is
Carrie.
what some people call those
maybe
guys.
grow up, Carrie. It's the Republican Party, the GOP,
Independent. The
No.
American Independent Party.
the American Independent Party, but should not be allowed to use
Yeah.
that name because they're not. A lot of people think they're an independent party. Like, oh, they're independent. No, they're
yeah.
not. They're.
Did I say the Green Party?
You said the Green Party. Yeah, that's it. Libertarian
Yeah.
Party.
Oh, forgot about those guys.
Okay. So you've never heard of the Klingon Party?
Nope.
You never heard of the Cocktail Party?
I mean,
on.
I've heard of a cocktail.
You've never
party.
heard of the Squirrel Reform Party? Huh. All those parties exist in Pennsylvania. Bucks County has, I guess, other parties is becoming more and more popular because
Yeah.
people don't like Democrats or Republicans. So
Yeah.
there's lots of other parties that are being voted on. And those in a recent election in Bucks County and Pennsylvania, there were votes for the Klingon Party, the Cocktail Party, and the Squirrel Reform Party. Over the years, there have been a ton of parties. And this is a quick list mostly from England and the United States. I think one of them might be Australian or New Zealand or something like that. But over the years, there's been the Fed Up Party, as in 2011, and they had a sock puppet run for the prime ministership of Canada in 2011. There's the Death, Dungeons, and Taxes Party. That was in Britain, believe it or not. And their main issue is they're going to annex France and hang people who litter.
Oh, cool.
So the Deadly Serious Party. It was a 1980s Australian party that was very, very not serious. Their main platform involved the dangers of killer penguins.
Okay.
They want to make sure people understand penguins can kill
Yeah.
you. The Don't Give a Feck Party was in 2014. That was in Ireland for some local elections, and their main stance was we promise to do nothing. Because they don't give a feck.
Yep.
The Donald Duck Party, that speaks for itself. And it was in Sweden, actually, the Anarchist Pogo Party of Germany in 1998. They were going to pay the voters with free beer. I like that.
good one.
The Sun Ripened Warm Tomato Party in Australia. This is more international than I realized. The New Millennium Bean Party, that was in Great Britain. And that was named for somebody named Captain Beanie, was an eccentric Welsh charity fundraiser who founded the party in 2000 and has a tattoo of baked beans on his head. I believe he was the only member
Wow.
of that party. The official Monster Raving Loony Party from 1983. The Citizens for Undead Rights and Equality. That was a pro-zombie party. It was a zombie-based platform. The Guns and Dope Party, founded by a cult writer and conspiracy theorist. The Church of the Militant Elvis Party by some Elvis. And by the way, in England, the Polish Beer Lovers Party, another pro-beer party. I get that. The Rhinoceros Party, that was a Canadian party. And that's all I have for you. And of course, the Surprise Party, you might be surprised to know this, that was formed by Gracie Allen, or the person who's married to George Burns,
Yeah.
and was a comedian and was 1,000 times funnier than him.
Yep.
In the 1950s, she was going to have a comedic presidential run.
Oh.
In the 50s. I didn't know anything about that, and so the name of her party was the Surprise.
The Surprise Party.
I don't
That's
know
a
if she
good
really
one.
did run or not, but yeah, that was actually
I
a
would
good
have
one.
voted for her.
In India, they actually name the parties. There's a list that's over 2,000 long. You can name your party this. They're not all chosen yet. So there's a sort of official list. You can name your party these things. So you don't just get it, apparently.
Yeah.
If I read this right, you don't get to just name whatever you want. The thing is, though, when they started having democratic elections in the early 1950s, most Indians were illiterate. They couldn't read. So what they did, and they did this a lot in other places too, where literacy is not high, and most Indians are they don't need this anymore. They're mostly it's a very literate country now, but they
Yeah.
still have the symbols. So each party has a name and a symbol. So they're like the flashlight party, the nail clipper party, the lotus party, the violin party, and there'd be a symbol of this, so you can look on that. Oh, that's a violin. I like the violin party's platform. I'm voting violin.
And they just use everyday nouns
Everyday
to
nouns,
do it?
yep.
Is that why we have a donkey and an elephant?
That's
that
not why we have it,
illiterate
but yeah.
Americans
No, that's
could
not why,
know.
'cause you
They
had to-
just pick the picture they
Yeah,
like.
that came from Thomas Nast, a cartoonist of in the 19th century. The flashlight, the lady farmer, the lotus party, the lotus blossom party is from Prime Minister Modi. That's his party's symbol. There's some controversy about that because it's not supposed to be like religious or something that's sacred to the country
Yeah.
is not supposed to be used. The lotus blossom is sacred to most Hindus. So it's controversial that his party was allowed to adopt that. It's a very kind of religious, it's sort of their conservative Christian kind of thing. Is that this conservative fundamentalist Hinduism
Yeah.
is a big part of his appeal. And so it's a little bit, dishonest.
Yeah.
But right now, no party has claimed the violin or the computer mouse or the nail clippers. Yes, they haven't. You can, though, vote for a kite or a comb or a mango. Those are symbols of actual parties right now. They have over 300 symbols and 2,300 political parties. So I guess they don't all have a symbol, apparently.
Yeah.
And so there's things like a ceiling fan, there's a coconut, there's an umbrella, there's all kinds of a kitchen sink, a sofa.
Those are just
a
weird,
kettle.
weird
Yeah.
choices.
They're all not, again, a lot of those aren't picked.
Right.
But
Still weird.
Many of them are. Yeah, I know. It's funny. So symbols are critical, even though I think it's pretty close to 100% literacy in India. It's just part of their political DNA. And
Yeah.
no one is calling for this to end, even though they don't really need them anymore. So you still might have a cauliflower, a soap dish, a stapler. Those are all part of the stockpile of symbols that are ready if a party wants to claim them.
That's funny.
Oh, the one more quick thing is that the symbols have kind of shown the nature of India over the years. So in the 1950s, parties had things like a plow or a cow or a bullock because agricultural reform is really important. In the 1960s and 70s, parties arrived and they started having things like a tractor or a truck or an electric pole because the country was modernizing and growing. Now, as of a few years ago, there was things like a laptop, a computer mouse, and a USB stick because it's such a technologically advanced. Technology is now such an important part of India's culture and economy.
Do they have a telephone headset?
They probably
All
should.
the call centers.
Oh my God, Carrie. So racist. Carrie,
How is that racist?
I'm just kidding. That's all going to be AI soon anyway, so those days are probably over for India. Now, Carrie's going to tell us about something in the Vermont state legislature. Vermont is a state in New England, the northeast of the U.S. for our we have a lot of listeners
Sure we
overseas,
do.
and to make sure I'm orienting them. Go ahead, Carrie.
Well, everybody's heard of Watergate, right? Did you know that Vermont had their own little Watergate?
I did not.
So it actually happened last year.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't hear that.
There's a state rep named Jim Carroll.
Jim Carroll.
And he couldn't figure out what was going on. Every day or whatever, when they were in session, he'd go, he had like his little canvas bag that he totes his stuff around in, and he would hang it up on a little peg in the foyer. I don't know, wherever.
Place 400 legislatures.
And then he'd come back, they'd go do their business, and then he'd come back and his bag would be all wet.
Oh.
And it happened a bunch of times over like a 5-month period, sometimes daily, sometimes a couple times a week, sometimes, he'd go back to his bag and it would be drenched. And
Someone's throwing water on his bag?
yeah. So he couldn't figure out, you look up at the ceiling, is there a leak? What's
sprinkler?
going on?
Yeah.
It's only his bag.
I would assume he would also hang it in different pegs.
Probably. Well, so one day he decided, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. He hangs his canvas bag up, and then he sets up a secret little camera.
A sting operation.
A
Okay.
sting
I like it.
operation to get video. And who do you think
Should have live
his
streamed it.
video catches
A colleague of his?
pouring out of a water bottle, or a glass actually, into his bag.
Into his bag. That's a dick
Into his
move.
bag. Republican State Representative Mary Morrissey.
I'm assume Jim Carroll's a Democrat.
Yes,
Okay.
Jim Carroll is a Democrat. So obviously he lets it be known. I don't know what he did.
He went and told the I don't know, head of the state legislature.
Yes. So
Mary's been making my canvas bag all wet.
no.
She's being a bitch.
He said for 5 months I went through this and it was torment.
Okay, calm down. She didn't throw a sandwich at him, I hope.
No, she did not. But, he said
That
it
would
was relentless. And, they had little scuffles. They had
Scuffles, maybe
words
not the right word, but
before kerfuffles.
okay, there you go.
He said that she often mistreated him. And, they would have policy differences. For instance, she was very anti-choice. Okay. He was pro-choice, and he would vote for, things to make abortion
legal
safe and legal in Vermont and all that kind of stuff. And then he did have an alcohol problem. He got a DUI.
Oh.
So he took time out from his job and went to rehab. And when he came back, she started pouring water in his bag again.
Really? Okay. So,
she was very sorry.
5 months. You've got to assume that they're going to catch you. They're going to do exactly what he did.
Why do you keep doing this?
It's baffling.
She says, I am truly ashamed for my actions. She said of her, quote, disrespectful conduct toward her colleague. I looked for, they said she could be prosecuted.
Well,
she was having to undergo like an investigation by the House Ethics Panel.
Yeah.
And somebody said
it's a dick move.
She could face like stalking charges, which seems a little bit weird.
That's overblowing it.
But I couldn't find any serious disciplinary action against her or anything.
I would like censor her or something like that.
And then I thought, well,
censure her, yeah.
You think this would be fairly big news? Her district is in Bennington, which is kind of a major Vermont town, and
for Vermont, yeah.
So, but she was reelected. So,
well, again, if she's in a super Republican district, then go. All right, good one, Mary. Way to own the libs.
You and I wouldn't vote for.
I wouldn't vote for a Democrat who did that.
That's what I'm saying. We wouldn't vote for
child,
somebody. Yeah.
And I'd want someone who's a little more mature than that. Yeah.
I don't think she's a young woman.
Probably not.
I'm pretty sure she's in her 60s.
I don't think she should have been in trouble, but she probably shouldn't have got reelected either.
You don't think she should be in trouble?
Nothing more than an admonishment.
What if he had his laptop and his cell phone in there?
And damages, like you pay for the laptop, pay for the cell phone.
I would say I had every time that happened, I bought a brand new laptop
good one,
and put it in there.
Good
you
one.
owe me
so
57 laptops.
Okay.
That's not an insurance fraud.
Some kind of fraud if you're lying about it. Yeah, that's something. Come on, Carrie. 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, sometimes they do.
Okay. We all here at the Weird World podcast love to point out the foibles of one Elon Musk, maybe the worst person in the world. Elon recently was in the news, very recently, because it was just before, or rather, just before, I believe, that Mamdani, what's his first name? Zoran Mamdani was elected mayor of New York City. And Elon Musk was on one of his favorite places, the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, just a few days before the election. And he was going off on Mamdani. No, of course he hates him. Mamdani wants to, actually tax people like him, and things like that he doesn't like. And of course, Musk is a famous ultra-right winger, and Mamdani is a very, very, very far left winger. And he called him nothing more than a, quote, charismatic swindler. He goes, quote, you got to hand it to him. He can light up a stage, but he's just been a swindler his entire life. And so Joe Rogan, who does occasionally rise to the occasion, said, okay, well, what has Mamdani actually done that makes him a swindler? And here's, I'm going to give you Musk's answer in actual, well, I guess if you say, what I mean, if you say to any audience, whatever that audience wants to hear, instead of having a consistent message, I would say that is a swindling thing to do. Sagacious pause. Yeah. That was the entirety of his quote
Cool.
in terms
Yeah.
of what has mom done to make him a swindler. Of course, telling an audience what they want to hear isn't really a swindler thing to do. You might call it demagogic or something like that.
But also, instead of having a consistent message,
he has the most consistent message of any politician in American history. He has been nothing if consistent. He said exactly what he intends to do. We'll see if he does it, but he has been extremely consistent, and it is not, believe me, it has not been to, play to the audience.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite. He has a very, very left-wing agenda that was considered why he was never going to win at the early point of the race. He couldn't be less what Elon Musk, but so Elon Musk just, again, this is projection. Elon Musk, a famous swindler, a guy who is every bit the swindler that has been his entire professional life. He's, you project. Every accusation is an admission with those kinds of people. And so he just used that word because he knows he is that. And so it's bad. It's like all these local Republican, pastors calling people pedophiles.
Yeah.
Every day in the news, there's a new ultra right-wing Republican person who's been convicted of something horrible involving children. But he just didn't think that Joe Rogan was going to ask him to back up his shit. He didn't have anything to back him up. I love when he gets.
So you're not going to rattle off the list of things Elon Musk has promised.
Oh, he's
never delivered on.
Yes, no, everything to do with Tesla. I mean, Tesla he's always made wild promises about Tesla, things that are for sure SEC violations at least, and never backed them up. He does that every time he talks about Tesla. I remember 100,000 sales of the Cybertruck. They sold like 8,000 something.
But also, wasn't he promising like a jet that could fly from New York to London in half an hour?
He said like a year ago. He said we're going to be on Mars in 4 years.
Yeah,
and it just
Mars.
Again, it's not. I mean, he routinely promises nonsense that he can't back up. But when you do it in terms of a public company like he does with Tesla, that's criminal.
Yeah.
That's swindling. And he does that. He also does, every time he says anything about, like when he did Dogecoin, and he just will just tweet something, this is years ago, said Dogecoin's pretty cool. And the price of Dogecoin went up. Elon Musk had bought a bunch of Dogecoin. That's a pump and dump. That's a swindle. That's a crime. It should have been convicted for that. He does that. He does it all the time.
Yeah.
If he's saying something, he's doing it to either, well, it used to be he's doing that to make money. Now it's increasingly just, I think he was probably very high when he said this, because it feels like he always is.
Yeah.
Recently on his website, X, formerly Twitter, he has already started to lay the groundwork for that. The New York mayor election was fraud, was a conspiracy. Are you surprised? He says, quote, on one of his recent tweets, he said, the New York City ballot form is a scam, exclamation point. Utter nonsense, an absolute lie. It's just so weird. So that seems fairly swindly and grifty to me right there. Now, we have two more stories, quick ones. They're actually kind of related. One is from a congressperson, and his name is Tim Burchett. I don't even heard of Tim Burchett.
Nope.
He is a Republican congressperson from Tennessee. That's in the south of here in the U.S., for our non-U.S. listeners. Mm-hmm. He is a very, very, a real pro-Trump MAGA kind of a person. He is become obsessed with aliens and UFOs. He's been one of the persons who's done those hearings where they bring on those pretty grifty pro-UFO kinds of people. I've talked about those in the past. I'm sure I'll talk about them in the future, and really giving them the Blink 182 dude. Things like that. People who are the Elizondo guy who, claims he was part of and it's unlikely, and it's now just people who are making money off UFOs and with books and conferences and things like that. But I think he means it. Tim Burchett is absolutely convinced. And recently, he's doing this video. I think it's like a cell phone video as he's walking down the street. I think it was in Washington, D.C. area, I believe. He's just very calmly, he's talking to whoever's, I don't know if it was a reporter, I'm not positive who it was, but they're talking about alien entities here on Earth. Specifically, he thinks they're in the ocean and that they're rising out of the ocean. He's really concerned about that. Quote, what if these are entities that are here on this Earth that have been on this Earth for who knows how long, and we think they're coming from way out? As he's strolling on the streets of Washington, D.C., he says that. I guess you can see the Capitol Rotunda in the background. Back to the quote. Maybe they did a millennia ago, but they're here, and they're in these deep water areas, end quote. And he's totally calm and seemingly rational. He's not fucking with the person. He's like, no, this is something serious. We need to look into this. And he says, like we say, we know more about the face of the moon than we know what's going on there, meaning the ocean.
Yeah.
We have a higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6, I believe, deep water areas. It creates a question there. And then when we have naval personnel telling me we have these sightings, these underwater craft they're chasing that go hundreds of miles an hour, and the best we got is something that does maybe a little under 40 miles an hour. So I got a lot of questions about that stuff, end quote. I don't know what he's talking about. I think part of the thing is, the Go Fast video and some of the fast. I don't know what underwater thing he's talking about. He may not either.
Well, people from the Navy are telling him.
Are they though?
There are things that are going hundreds of miles an hour, and they can. But also, our Navy can only go 40 miles an hour.
I guess like subs. Honest to God, I'm thinking, wait, our subs can do better than 40? Really? We need to work on that.
We need to get those guys some speedboats.
Something. I think he means subs. If he means underwater, he must be talking about submarines. So submarines can't go more than 40?
Slow?
I'm not going to lie. I would have assumed subs could go faster than that.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they can. This is Tim Burchett talking.
Yeah.
So, but also remember, some of those people are ex-Navy people that are now going on the kind of the UFO circuit.
Yeah.
I'm going to overly disparage them, but they're not super credible sources anymore. Unfortunately, I think some of them might be, some of them are not, and so that's who he's listening to. He's obviously he's been obsessed with this issue. It's one of his foremost. If I was running against him, I would just run on.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, you should retire. Go study that.
Yeah.
Because you might be a little cray-cray.
Yeah.
And you have other things you should be doing, focusing on rather than deep water aliens right now. And by the way, and he says that I'm not worried about them harming me. I mean, with that capabilities, they would have barbecued us a long time ago. So if they wanted to kill us, they would have already. So I'm not worried about that, but we still need to look into these deep water aliens.
And for sure, it would be a barbecue on the beach.
Yes.
As they
Yes, it would.
emerge.
And one of my favorites, George Knapp. He's a former news anchor in Vegas who's now nothing but a UFO.
We've talked about George Knapp.
A grifter for sure. George Knapp says there are servers where there's a whole bank of these kinds of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see. Clearly not true, but you have, George, that
servers
the public
with the whole banks of
this is George Knapp that the public has not been allowed to see. Occasionally, that stuff gets out in the wild and comes our way. It should be coming to you, meaning Congress. The public should be seeing this stuff, and why you're not allowed to, I don't know. He said that to Tim Burchett at a hearing not that long ago. So he's listening to this and he takes it very seriously. So I saw something in the news recently, and I think it's going to scare Tim Burchett, or it might be what he's talking about, because what we just saw, this is very recent, was just in the news a couple of days ago, literally, is that they found a new scary life form, very deep water, in the deep water ocean. It is basically a carnivorous sponge.
Ooh,
sponge, just because they're usually thought as their filter feed. Yeah, I did for Carrie the symbol of a sponge with my hands. Well, you knew what sponge is. That's everybody knows that. It's sponge, obviously. It's sign language. And these sponges, these have they're in the bottomless depths, the abyssal depths where there's no light and things like that. And they have these appendages that end in these gelatinous orbs, and they go out and they grab things to eat them. They're not just sort of sit on the bottom ocean and filter feed of what passes by. These are carnivorous, predatory sponges in the deep water. Are they even from here, Carrie? We don't know. They could have originally been from somewhere much, much further away. If you ask Tim Burchett, they probably have been.
We have sponges.
We do have sponges, but these are bad. This is new. Carnivorous sponge activity is pretty new. They first thought they saw it in the 1990s for the first time ever, but that was over in some caves in France. They thought that was just a kind of a one-off. This is in the deep, deep, deep ocean now, so it's getting scary, Carrie.
There's lots of stuff down there that we've never seen before.
Carrie, you don't want to be attacked by a sponge and be eaten by a sponge. Would you like to be eaten by a sponge? I would not.
How big are they?
Okay, so they're 3 centimeters, but you don't know if that's a baby. It could be a tiny little baby, and they could be 10-centimeter grown-ups out there.
I think I can handle myself with a sponge.
Man. Okay, these inch-long sponge. Okay, Carrie, fine. If you think you're badass, then you do that. Tim Burchett, I think, is going to have to go look into that.
Yeah.
So I just think, I read that and I thought, maybe that's what he's worried about. Or at the least, maybe Tim Burchett is a listener. And Tim, I'm telling you, look into the sponges. The other stuff, maybe chill out. But so that's my last story, Care. About,
Okay.
And that one wasn't really political, was it?
Well,
I admit.
he's a politician, so.
No, I meant the sponges.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
really think that's what he's working on. So thank you for that. Listening to our little weird news politics edition. Our next weird news will. Well, I don't know if it's not going to be. I can't guarantee there won't be animals because animals do such weird things. We'll wait a while though, and hopefully bring some non-animal stuff as well.
Sure.
We'll see.
Okay, thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.